Hello, Cowboys Nation. Welcome back to Fourth and Forever. I am JR Castillo. We will be doing things a little bit different today. We are not just doing the review for the Cardinals game. We will be talking about the NFL trade deadline and how it affects the Cowboys, not just this season, but going forward. We will do a little bit of short review for the Cardinals game. No highlights, because how many times can I show you the same highlight with just different teams involved? So let's look at the Cowboys and Cardinals game. How about that? Cowboys lose to the Cardinals 27-17. This was not a good game for the Cowboys. This was one of those games where you go into it thinking, well, if the Cowboys win this game, they can turn it into 2 in a row when they play the Vegas Raiders. Instead, the Cowboys came out flat, disinterested, and on bad defense. And we're going to look at some of the good things from the game. The good, they got some pass rush. They had over 5 sacks in this game. You had a lot of pass rush come from Jadeveon Clowney, and Donovan Ezeraku continues to show improvements week by week. Ezeraku is getting better and better. That's a positive sign for the future, because if he can develop into a good pass rusher, the Cowboys have a piece to a long-term puzzle. Jadeveon Clowney giving them anything this year is I mean, Clowney was brought in to help. There's only so much he can do as somebody that's been in the league for this long. If you want to bring him back next year and he wants to play next year, he can be part of a rotation puzzle. Special teams, they got a block punt that ended up being a touchdown. That was a good thing. Wasn't so much a block punt as in the ball just hit Sam Williams directly into the face. But Sam Williams was close on a couple of these, was getting good rush on the inside in these punts. Like to see the Cowboys continue trying something there. They moved the ball well. Despite the fact that the Cowboys only had 17 points, they did move the ball pretty well through most of the game. They had their normal Cowboy, like, what the hell are you doing moments. The first drive is an example of that. They drive down the field, end up getting inside the 5 and then run 4 pass plays in a row, which is unacceptable. Like, how do you not at least try a couple runs right there? If you're going to go for it on 4th down, you got to try a couple runs. Just give it a shot, right? Just give that a shot. Turnovers is what killed the Cowboys. Turnovers is absolutely what killed the Cowboys in this game, especially on offense. Anytime they got something sort of moving, in came a turnover. Just the self-inflicted wounds of the Cowboys continue, and you cannot be statistically a good football team and have so many self-inflicted wounds. The Cowboys are the kings at self-inflicted wounds. They just continuously do it. The defense was bad overall. It had its moments with the pass rush, but again, the Cardinals were able to run the ball at will, pretty much. Marvin Harrison Jr. had the greatest game of his young career, as do most receivers do against the Cowboys defense. DaRon Bland looked like he was on ice skates. For all the people saying the Cowboys got to play more man coverage, they played man coverage, and DaRon Bland looked absolutely silly out there, like he's never, ever even heard of man coverage. That's the way he looked like. He looked like he's never once in his life heard of what man coverage is. There was a couple replays, if you go back and see, where you see some players are sticking directly to what they're told to do. You see a play where late in the game where Kalen Carson he's playing zone coverage, right? He's in zone coverage and he stays in zone coverage. However, he is zone coveraging an area of the field where there is not a single Cardinals player. He just stayed in zone coverage. I think at times you need to know, like, I can abandon this because there's nobody over here. So, I mean, that's where the Cowboys were at, and they lose to the Cardinals. They are now 3-5-1. Playoffs look unlikely, and so that takes us into the trade deadline and the moves the Cowboys made at the trade deadline. And you might ask yourself, why make moves? At 3-5-1, you're more than likely not making the playoffs. And I understand that. I get it. And my philosophy on these moves were, if you can make a move that sets you up not only for the remainder of this season to get a look at somebody, but also sets you up with something that you're probably going to get better at what you give up in capital, and what you get back is going to be better than what you could have got with that capital, I'm okay as long as that player is here for past this season. And the Cowboys made 2 moves, and I enjoy both of these moves. First move the Cowboys made, they trade a 2026 7th round selection to the Cincinnati Bengals for middle linebacker Logan Wilson. I like this for 2 reasons. Logan Wilson is a good player. Despite the fact that the Bengals statistically have the only defense in football, worse than the Cowboys. That's not on Logan Wilson. Has he been a step slower this year than previous years? Absolutely, he has been. However, Logan Wilson is still making tackles at a very consistent rate, with not too many missed tackles, not too many just out in the middle of nowhere plays. He's a very solid middle linebacker. He is head and shoulders the best linebacker on this roster right now, and that includes DeMarvion Overshown, who is somebody I really enjoy, and I cannot wait until that Vegas game where Agent Zero is back on the field. In fact, Wilson and Overshown will be a very good pairing for the Cowboys, and it should allow the Cowboys a little bit more freedom and their ability to cover as linebackers and make tackles, get to the ball, fight off blocks. Something they both excel at. Should help the Cowboys in the linebacking core. Plus, Logan Wilson is here for the remainder of this season. He's under contract next season, and he's under contract in 2027. That is still 2 more years of control after this year. And what were you going to get with a 7th round pick? Yes, you maybe hit a 7th round pick, and that is a great player. But the odds are, especially with the way the Cowboys have been drafting, that 7th round pick probably wasn't going to make your roster. And instead, you have a starting caliber middle linebacker now that can control the middle of your field on defense. That's a win. Bonus win is that I no longer have to see so much of Kenneth Murray on my screen, which is going to make my Sundays and Mondays much more enjoyable. And the second trade the Cowboys made, and this was one of the blockbuster trades of the day, both blockbusters involved the New York Jets. The Jets were at it again with this one. The Dallas Cowboys have acquired defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. And in return, the Jets get the Cowboys' 2026 second-round pick, 2027 first-round selection, and that pick is the higher of the picks between the Cowboys and the Packers. So whichever one of those picks ends up higher heads to the Jets. And as a bonus throw-in, the Jets will receive Mozzie Smith. This is a win-win-win for the Cowboys. 1, you do not lose your 2026 first-round pick. 2, you get the much-needed hoss up the middle. Sometimes you need a big fat guy in the middle that can control the pace, and Quinnen Williams is one of those big old fat guys that can control the pace. He's one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in football, and he has the highest win percentage against double teams in all of football. He keeps the linebackers clear, lets them run around, and with now Logan Wilson and DeMarvion Overshown, that's a positive. And Mozzie Smith isn't on this football team, which is a bigger positive. This is what you call addition by subtraction. Listen, I hope it works out for Mozzie Smith. I hope he goes to New York and turns out to be every bit of the big fat guy that the Cowboys wanted him to be. But it wasn't going to happen in Dallas. That ship has sailed. It was never going to work in Dallas. It was just not going to work here for whatever reason. He needed a change of scenery. The Cowboys needed him off this team. Both of those things happen, and in return, the Cowboys end up with Quinnen Williams, which is a splash. And again, this is a not just for this season. Quinnen Williams instantly makes this Cowboys defense a little bit better. But he is under contract not only for this season, he's under contract in 2026, and he's under contract in 2027. Quinnen Williams is one of the few players in the NFL that had the Cowboys went in August, made the trade for Micah Parsons and sent him to the Jets, and they would have picked up Quinnen Williams and a first-round pick, I would have been okay with that because it's about as close as the same disruptive force as you can get when it comes to Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is so good, he makes everybody around him better. And Quinnen Williams is so dominant, he makes everybody around him a little bit better. Now, Parsons gets the big flashy numbers with the sacks. Quinnen Williams eats a lot of double teams, so the numbers aren't as flashy and they don't stand out as much. You have to really dig into them. But he changes the pace, and that's something the Cowboys desperately need. He can disrupt opponents' running games, and that's something the Cowboys desperately need. So had you told me in August the Cowboys were getting a first-round pick and Quinnen Williams in return for Micah Parsons, I'd have been happy with that. I'd accepted that as what reality was. Now we are in November, and the Micah Parsons trade has basically turned into the Cowboys received Kenny Clark, Logan Wilson, Quinnen Williams, and a first. I'm okay with this deal. I'm okay with this deal going forward. And now we got to see how the Cowboys can bleed this into next season. I don't care about what happens the rest of this season. If they make the playoffs, great. If they find a way to sneak in and get hot and make the playoffs, let's see what we can do. I care about now, can the Cowboys continue this new philosophy? This philosophy that inquires that, hey, we're not going to overpay certain things if we can make the team better around it. You get Quinnen Williams, who is as disruptive in the run game as Micah Parsons is in the pass game, and now you have $20 million free that you're not paying. How will the Cowboys use that $20 million? And that's how I want to see. The Cowboys have learned, I hope, this offseason and through this season, you cannot rely just on bargain basement shopping and draft picks alone. You have to supplement that with free agency. You have to supplement that through trades. The Cowboys now have made 2 trades to help supplement their roster. Now, use those 2 first-round draft picks. Use one of them on a good player. Maybe use the other one to move back a little bit and recoup some of your draft picks. Or use both of them on a good player and get 2 solid starters in the first round. Use them both to move up in the first round and go get the guy. The Cowboys are operating on a different philosophy than they have been, and that's something that we can talk about next week. But for right now, the trade deadline was a win, and it was a much-needed win for the Cowboys. It's a start of something that they can maybe build on, and not just for this season. Build on it for next season. Build on it for the season after. You're running out of time on the Dak Prescott window. You're running out of time for Jerry Jones. Do something now. Change your philosophy and make important changes for your franchise. And that's what I want to see the Cowboys continue. That's going to be it for this week's episode, guys. For next week, we have a bye. There's no game to review. There's no game to preview. So next week will be a State of the Season episode. Maybe a draft preview. I'll see if I can dig up some potential Cowboys to look at. And we'll just talk about what the future holds for the Cowboys, and maybe go through this change of philosophy they seem to be going through right now. But until then, let's go Cowboys. I'm glad they did something worthwhile at the trade deadline, and I hope to see things start to even themselves out a little bit going forward.